Yes, on ZASLOW Show 2.0, brought to us by the official beer of the program. You know, we're talking Johnny Cuba, European roots with a Caribbean soul. Pick up a refreshing German lager in a can. Go to johnnycuba.us. You use the Johnny locator. You get the hot sauces as well. You know, I love hot sauce. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. This is a very big pro wrestling weekend. Very, very big. Mike Ryan, LeBatard Show, Metal Arc Media, huge pro wrestling fan as well, joining us here. Mike, how you doing? SummerSlam, what is the if 10 is the most excited, what's the excitement level right now for the first ever two-night SummerSlam?
I got to be honest with you, like around a 4. Not very excited about it. I think this John Cena thing will, once we get some altitude on it, will be looked back on pretty unfavorably. I think that this was a pretty big disaster for WWE, and it'll be held up as an example of if you have a babyface cooking, maybe don't turn them, which is maybe an interesting data point for Cody. Although I think Cody has shown in his career he can play an effective heel. I think he'll do it a lot better when that day comes, and it does seem like that day comes. Maybe it comes at SummerSlam, but I'm not into the card, not into the jelly roll thing. I think I've seen a variation of Drew and Logan and Randy Orton for a long time, and jelly roll, it seems like a pretty sizable downgrade from Bad Bunny and even Travis Scott when it comes to stardom. I do think jelly roll will impress, and I think he'll be fun in the ring. I think he's pretty overexposed, so miss me with that one. I think there are some fun matches on the card, but overall, the card isn't necessarily doing it for me. I think it's a relatively weak year for WWE to trot out the first ever two-night SummerSlam. I'm just not that enthused because Zaz, the product to me, has not been good. I think that since pretty much WrestleMania, they've been, I know AEW doesn't really try to view WWE as direct competition, but for pro wrestling consumers out there, I do think the arrow is pointing up for AEW, and as an alternative, it's got its foothold in the right place. I think it's been the better product over the last few months, and you could always count on, even when AEW was struggling outside of one show, they would always do pay-per-views the right way.
Yeah.
We'll see if this PLE for WWE can infuse it with some new excitement. I think that Seth Rollins is going to cash in and take a moment away from CM Punk, so that might lead to some excitement. But generally, my expectations are very low, which that's actually good news for Triple H and WWE. They can easily surpass where I'm at right now.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let's talk about what you just said about Rollins. You think he's going to cash in this weekend and take away from CM Punk's moment? Does that mean you believe that the injury is a work, that he's not legit hurt?
I believe the reports from Wrestling Observer on this one. You could usually believe WrestleVotes, although I think WrestleVotes, for people that follow pro wrestling, WrestleVotes was pretty much gospel, right? When it came to breaking news. And then someone in WWE fed WrestleVotes a fake story about Roman Reigns having another child. And WrestleVotes hasn't broken a story since. But I do think this one's legit. Look, we haven't heard that he's had the surgery. We haven't seen successful surgery from Alabama and Dr. James Andrews. We haven't seen any of that. They're kind of playing up the fact that he's going to be gone. I know on Raw they mentioned.
As a matter of fact, what he said when he hosted Rich Eisen, he said, I went down and saw the doctor in Birmingham, but the scans were inconclusive because I was still too swollen. So you're right. They haven't had a surgery yet.
They haven't had the surgery. And when does that happen? I think on Monday, they really try to ram home like, hey, Seth is going to be gone for a long time. Braun, you're the leader here. I think Seth would come back this weekend. And I think that'll be a pretty good moment, even if some people expect it. I think that'll be pretty cool.
So you think Punk then is going to win on Saturday night then?
I'm not sure if he's going to win. I'm not sure if they're going to waste his title win, because they kind of did that kind of moment with Drew, where Drew won the belt and Punk gets involved, and then Damian Priest cashes in. I don't think they do a redux of that, but I do think that it will seem like Punk has the title well won, and then Seth can cash in. Honestly, they should probably consider doing that, because it would be a really big swerve if everyone expects it on night one for him to cash in on Punk. If he tries doing that on night two, with Cena and Cody. That'll be good. And then you can have both Cena and Cody chase the belt. I think there are some good options. I think that WWE, despite having the spot blown up a little bit with Seth's injury, is going to have a lot of very interesting options.
So you think then Gunther CM Punk will main event Saturday night, right?
I think so. I think so.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, it'll be a cool moment for Punk. I
like the only other question is, do they put the tag team match with Roman as the main event, right?
That was another reason why I'm not so into this card. Why dilute Roman's return?
That was a bummer to me. Didn't it seem perfect? You have Roman versus Braun Breaker, SummerSlam. Let's do it.
I guess that they want to hold out the option to have that as a big money match down the line.
I almost feel like it was because they had nothing else for Jay. So let's just do it this way.
I agree. And you know what? If they have nothing else for Jay, make him a host or something. I know they have Cardi B out there, but Jay's just an entrance anyways. Like Jay's just a vibes guy anyways. So just lean all the way in on that. I'm well past wanting Jay to do something totally different with his character. I'm hoping Sami Zayn. I think that there's some interesting notes to hit with Sami Zayn potentially turning on him. I'd actually like to see it go the other way. Jay turning on Sami with everybody expecting that. Karrion Kross, Sami Zayn, I think that has the internet a little interested. I like the story that they're telling, but for me, Karrion Kross just never delivers in the ring ever. So I always think I like the idea of Karrion Kross, and then I watch a Karrion Kross match and I don't. So I'm into AJ versus Dominic. I think that could be fun. But overall,
do you think AJ beats him? I think Dominic retains, and it's also important to point out AJ pinned Dominic in a tag match on Monday night this week.
Yeah, I think Dominic retains too. I hope Dominic retains. I think AJ's at the point of his career where he doesn't necessarily need that.
No, he doesn't. I would love to see somewhere along the line. I know he just signed an extension, so he's got like another year plus, and then he's probably going to retire, I would assume. I'd love to see him in another title program. He doesn't have to win the title, but he's good enough to be a challenger for one of the titles. What's more interesting to me is Dominic Mysterio, who we saw the highlights this past weekend where he showed up at AAA, and, you know, great pop. Everyone was super excited to see him there. You rewind like 4 or 5 years ago, and the general consensus was, this guy fucking sucks. We hate Dominic Mysterio. And now you're looking at a guy who is legit going to be a top guy for many years. He is awesome.
I think Dominic Mysterio will be a top guy in the company in the not too distant future, but also baked into that take is the assumption that he gets his body looking like that. Top guys generally look a certain way in WWE. I think his body's still a long way away from that, but I do think that that'll inevitably happen. He's still a young guy.
I love how he claims that he's a 20-year veteran of the business because at 10 years old, he was in the ring at one point when Eddie and his father were fighting. 20-year veteran of the business.
I love that kid. I have a cool idea for AJ, though, by the way. I would like to see him have a title run, but it doesn't have to be with the WWE title. I'd like to see him have a run with the TNA championship.
Oh, and they bring that over sometimes onto WWE TV?
I mean, right now, the guy that holds the belt is an NXT superstar in Trick Williams. I'd like to see like the person that restores the honor to TNA be TNA's greatest homegrown superstar in AJ Styles. I think that would be a cool little note for his career to end on.
When does WWE pull the trigger on turning Tiffy heel, which is obviously where she's at her best? She's fighting Jade Cargill this weekend.
I think I'd be weary of doing it this weekend because I expect some turns. I think most people expect a turn on Sunday when it comes to Cody. I don't. I think it's too obvious.
We're definitely getting the Cena. I mean, Cena's been teasing babyface for over a month now. Cody, though, has also been teasing heel turn for a little bit now, too. All right. But I think we could get a double turn. I think we're definitely getting Cena turning babyface on Sunday night.
The street fight rules kind of make it hard for Cody to turn. No, because they're going to do the long-term booking thing where he'll have the opportunity to look at the belt and consider hitting John Cena. He didn't do it at WrestleMania.
I thought it makes it easy. Like he just gets too violent during the street fight, you know? And we see this violent streak at him, which he refused to show before, where he wouldn't hit Cena with the belt. And also, I think we're getting Rock on Sunday night. The street fight opens up to that.
Yeah, I would hope for that. I think I think WWE really needs an injection of Dwayne Johnson right now. I thought the whole booking of Cody not wanting to hit John Cena with a belt was so stupid. Here's a guy who he murdered Kevin Owens. He murdered Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is dead now because of Cody Rhodes. But hitting John Cena,
all because KO gave Randy Orton a pile driver.
It's insane. I mean, Travis Scott broke Cody Rhodes' eardrum. John Cena left him in a pool of his own blood. Couldn't hit him with a belt, but then he just murders Kevin Owens.
Yep. Totally with you.
I didn't like that logic.
Does Naomi retain against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley? I believe she does.
I think so too. Triple H likes those swerves, and I think it's a lot like the great WrestleMania match, a triple threat match where no one really expected Io to win.
Unbelievable. Io is red hot right now. This is easily the best run of her career, at least with WWE right now.
Yeah, so maybe Io gets strapped up there. Naomi, I don't know how much longer Naomi can do this. Naomi's kind of up there for a women's superstar, right? I don't know. I think this run probably had its peak with the Evolution moment that she had.
No, isn't the peak Bianca challenging her for the title?
That might be the case. Triple H doesn't seem to really like the idea of transitional champions, even when it's obvious. Jey Uso should have been, I guess, for Triple H's timeline, Jey Uso does count as a transitional champion. But when it was obvious that Damian Priest didn't have it, Jey Uso didn't have it, Triple H likes to go a few months beyond that because he doesn't like the idea of a transitional champion. I think that's part of him being a guy that was in that locker room as opposed to Vince McMahon, who just kind of knew, like, to hell with your feelings.
By the way, have you seen the details about the Vince McMahon car crash?
So I saw the photo. Where was he? Was he in Alaska? There was snow on the ground.
I don't know where he was, but apparently he hit this other driver driving between 80 and 90 miles per hour. Everybody's lucky to be alive. He was cited for reckless driving, which is like the worst citation you could possibly get, outside of, I guess, vehicular manslaughter. Like he was driving like a crazy person, and the woman who was in the car is lucky she wasn't killed.
I mean, can you imagine if that news came down because Hulk Hogan passed away a couple hours later?
Right. Oh my God. Are you into watching WWE Unreal?
No, I've never really had interest in it. I'll just see the clips that come through, and I'll admit some of the clips do interest me. When you see Kevin Owens, who's now dead, talk about the finish with Cody Rhodes, I thought that was interesting. There are some peeling back of the curtain things that I've seen that.
And you're not interested in it because?
I don't think it's for me. I know a lot of the stories. I don't really care so much as what goes into it. I like hearing behind the scenes stories from podcasts well after the fact, but I did find it pretty interesting that my takes about Dwayne Johnson and bad creative and Cena's heel turn didn't exactly seem to be the case. It seemed as though Triple H really drove that creative. It did feel like Dwayne still left WWE in a bad place, but it wasn't his idea. I thought he conceptualized and then pulled the plug, which was a bad look for Dwayne. But I think this taps into Triple H's legacy a little bit. This really failed John Cena concept. The audience is going to be begging for John Cena to turn babyface. I think they'll at least get that. I don't necessarily think they'll get Cody as a heel just yet. I think they'll want to play that out a little bit longer. And here's always been my biggest thing with Cody making the turn here at SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. They invested so much in this Seth Rollins moment at WrestleMania. He gets a win over Roman and CM Punk. Heyman turns. Why would the architect, a guy who's already billed as being really smart, why would he need to partner up with Paul Heyman? It's to unfurl a master plan that fools everybody, which would be him cashing in. And that would be like what Paul Heyman brings to the table. I knew you were smart before, but I took you next level. He's positioned to be the top line heel in the company. If you turn Cody automatically becomes top line heel, and you burn up all the capital that you put towards Seth Rollins over these last few months. So I just don't get it. I think Seth Rollins deserves to have another run as a top heel in the company, which is why I wouldn't exactly rule out him getting involved in night 2 when everyone expects him, if he does get involved, with night 1.
I'm going this weekend. I've never been to SummerSlam. It's the last of the big 4 that I've never attended. I've been to the other 3. I've never been to SummerSlam. I'm super pumped for this show, man. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. But
you should be. I'm bummed that you have to go to MetLife for it. That is a hellhole.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that situation, but once we get in the stadium, I'm very, very excited, me and my son. Excellent job, Mike Ryan. Tell everybody all the other ways outside of LeBatard Show that they could see and hear you and everything you got going on.
Well, Canes season starts in earnest. Fall camp starts this week, and D-Money, Peter Rees, and I, our venture Canes Insight, will have you covered. I'm actually hanging up with you and going to do a live show with D-Money right now. So subscribe to Canes Insight on YouTube. That is at official Canes Insight. We put out everything on podcasts as well. So if you got any Canes fans out there in the audience, we cover that program for my money better than anybody else. We're really plugged in, and we have really good content daily.
Great job, Mike. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Zaslow, and you're killing it on the LeBatard Show. It's really cool for us this 20 years we've known each other, basically, and to be able to circle back and continue this chapter in our careers has been really a joy to watch. I find you to be hysterical. I think you're a great talent, and I love to have you in the family.
Thank you. I'm very happy. Thank you very much for saying that.